Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing out the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hi y'all, welcome to another podcast episode. Today's episode is a solo with me, myself, and I. As of today, August 1st, I'm 27 years old. Now, it is no surprise. I need to put this down. I've been adaptogening, by the way. That's a new term that I've coined. Gotten really into these like non-alcoholic wines. Desoy is my favorite. D-E-S-O-I. I keep saying Desoy, and like I literally love them, and I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, if I'm being honest with you guys. But adaptogens, like they really do something that put you in a good mood. Okay. Anyways, all that to say, I'm hopping back in to this week's episode to let you guys know that we have some new merch out. If y'all are watching on YouTube, you would see I'm wearing my Texas hat. We have a navy. We have a red. I feel like navy and red are so in this summer. Also, hello, Olympics, Team USA. So anyways, wearing that right now, they are available. So be sure to go shop our merch. We're working on our fall stuff as well. But I'm going to be living in these truckers for the foreseeable future, especially with the Olympics. Like I understand that Texas isn't a country. Don't get me wrong. I'm referring to the blue and the red and the white. That's what I mean. Before we get into today's episode, I am honestly like really kind of insecure about putting it up just because I really tried my best. And I feel like when I do solo episodes, it's really hard for me to fully like articulate my thoughts. I've had the hardest year of my life, as we know. I didn't want to get into a ton of it, but more so just about like the hope that I have for like the future, and more so how I feel like things are just fully out of my control, basically. It's like I've done everything on my end that I can do. So like God's got to do some things, you know, like there's got to be some things that are moved. Anyways, I'm really just speaking from the heart with where I'm at. I'm a little insecure about posting this episode just because I'm really down in it, I feel like, and I don't like sharing that side as much. Like I would rather be like, this is what I did and here's how I am, but like I'm honestly like right in the middle of it right now. So with that being said, I hope that it connects with you. I'm sure there's going to be people who are listening to this episode who are connecting with me at the same time. If I've learned one thing in podcasting, it's that. So I hope you guys enjoy. Happy birthday to me. And yeah, let's get into the episode. Don't forget our new hats are out. I love you all. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And let's welcome me and myself and I. Okay, goodbye. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to the show. If y'all are watching on YouTube, you would see that I have a special guest here today. And that is Fitz, my dog Fitz. Legal name, Fitzgerald. I actually don't even know if his legal name is Fitzgerald. I guess that's kind of still up for... How do you feel about that, bub? I don't know how he feels about that. He is a little clingy because I was out of town this week. I actually just got back from Los Angeles. Guys, not to bore you all with my luggage saga, but weirdly, everyone was like really engaged in this. So I flew in really late from LA the other night. I had to come home because you're hosting like an editor's cooking class for a friend of mine. So I fly home very late with things that I really need in my suitcase, okay? It's in my carry-on, might I add, a carry-on. To carry on to the plane. I do that so I don't have to part ways with my bag. Anyways, long story short, they make me check it at the gate, which is fine, whatever, sucks, but like I'll survive, okay? I land at DFW at 12:30. I'm waiting for another hour for the bags to come out. All the bags come out, all the bags are seen, and then suddenly my bag is not there, okay? I see what looks to be an identical suitcase to mine, my warm brown beige carry-on luggage, my favorite suitcase. And you have that luggage, and more importantly, you have that color that's like a very niche color that sells out very quickly. Like you've got to be a girly. Like it honestly could have been one of us, right? So I don't know if I really got robbed. Like if it was someone that like I know, like I didn't get robbed, but if it's like makes her a better story, I got robbed. Anyways, that is the only suitcase that's left. It looks identical to mine, so clearly someone just took my suitcase because it's tracking to DFW. No, I don't have an air tag in this because it's a carry-on, okay? I'm adding one, all right? Anyways, it was supposed to arrive like an hour ago. It still isn't here. And now more than anything, I just feel like I don't have closure with the luggage saga. Like, yeah, sure, I'll get my luggage, but I don't know where the luggage went. I don't know if the girl realized it. Like, I kind of wanted to have like a chat. Like, not that I thought she did anything wrong. We've all done things like that. I was just curious, like at what point she noticed. Maybe we could kind of like laugh. It'd be funny. We'd become friends. We'd go get coffee. I don't know. Like I just had this whole thing of like, this is going to be a new person in my life. Anyways, no new friend. Luggage is supposedly on its way to me. I'll believe it when I see it. More importantly, I do have Chili's on the way. I was hard at work today, and we talked about Chili's on the Golden Nugget podcast that I recorded for, and it made me think I need honey chipotle chicken crispers. The issue with when someone brings up Chili's, which is normally me and it's normally every day, is that I can't hear Chili's without having to get it that night. And half the time I'm door dashing because my friends are not like always out and about, like Macy's in New York, and I don't even know what she's doing over there. Okay. So yeah, I door dashed it. We have some honey chipotle chicken crispers coming soon. Little big mouth bites. I get the triple dipper, but I get double honey chipotle chicken crispers. I don't get egg rolls anymore, which I know is like a crime against humanity, but I just grew up on Chili's and I ate so many egg rolls from Chili's in my life that I'm okay. Like I just feel like it's something that I'm leaving in the past. So anyways, today is my 27th birthday episode, which is crazy. I feel like I'm 87 though, so it's not really that crazy. I also feel like I'm 12 years old, and warning for everyone involved, which is you and I right now. I am in the most like nostalgic, sentimental mood I've ever been in, okay? Side note, yes, 26, it wasn't my year, okay? I lost my little brother this year. It has been the most devastating, heartbreaking, depressing, horrible year of my life. Outside of that, honestly, life was fine, but obviously that ruined everything else. So it's been a really not good year. So I don't know if I'm just getting nostalgic because I'm like missing the past and missing like when my brother was here, or why. I mean, I'm sure actually now that I'm saying that, that's probably definitely why, but it doesn't help. I was with my friends that were like my youth group, OG, like my closest friends in the world, who honestly have probably been the most consistent, but also I feel like have been the most pivotal in my life, if that makes any sense. Like, when you think about your friends growing up, maybe you don't think about this because I'm just a very sentimental person. Those friendships have been the most influential friendships, I think, in my life. Just so like who I am as a person. I could not talk to them for 10 years, not that I would, and it would be the exact same thing. Anyways, we don't even live in the same places anymore, so it's very sad. I like barely get to see them. It's sad. We were together recently for a horrible, horrible, horrible day, but we were at our old church, and at the end, I mean, just us being together, it felt like we were in like a season finale of Friends. It just felt crazy. It felt like we were back on like the set that we grew up at, like watching it and seeing it as adults. And I haven't seen that church since probably sophomore year of high school. I don't think I've been in there in so long, and I'm 27 now today. And it just felt so crazy. And then we walked through like our youth group, and it literally felt like we were out of a movie. So that hasn't helped either, because of course I was just being so dramatic. And then I went like to the downtown square and we got food there. And it's like all of our memories are either together or really at those two places. And then I was on the street that we all grew up on. Like it was just so crazy. So I don't know. I'm just in a very nostalgic, very sentimental mood these days. And I feel like, I hope that honestly, there is a shift coming in my life. I feel like there's something new every time I have a major life change. I wonder if y'all feel the same way. If you do, please let me know. Every time I have a major life change, like a move or someone important is coming into my life or there's a new opportunity, I get this same feeling, and I can't really describe it. It's honestly an unexplainable feeling, okay? But I get the same feeling every single time. I have that feeling now. I felt this way last, probably when I was making the move to Texas. I just had this like inner knowing of something was gonna happen, and then Texas happened. And more than that, typically I wanna add that when I have these big pivotal like life shifts, it's not necessarily something that I wanted before, but all of a sudden, like my mind and my heart, like I'm a very cheesy person, okay? Like a lot of what I say is corny, it's fine. Like I have like a heart change about it all of a sudden, and it's like I know that had to be a God thing, because like me, myself, and I, like I'm not getting myself there. Like that would not have happened. But all of a sudden, like my feelings about things start to change, my thoughts, I don't know, I just like all of a sudden I'm open to something that I would have never been open to before, and it literally has to be by the grace of God, honestly, because I am not doing that, all right? Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just I don't know, like I get this feeling and then my like mind and my heart starts to like shift on something. Also, while we're on this topic, I have this thing where I can always tell when someone is about to come back into my life. It's been like this since I was a kid. Anytime someone is coming back into my life, I'm thinking about them randomly. And it's not always that there was like any sort of beef. It's, my God, my voice is cracking. My voice is also shot and gone. So I really apologize for how it's sounding today. Anyways, it's not always that there was necessarily an issue in the relationship. We maybe just grew apart or someone moved or something, whatever. It could be anything. But every time someone is coming back into my life, they're on my mind out of nowhere for no reason. Like I have no actual reason to be thinking about this person. And then they reach out, and that's happened in the past couple of months twice with people. And it's just so bizarre. Like every time I have that feeling, that happens. So I'm really holding out. Oh, guys, I don't know if that's Chili's coming to the door or it's my suitcase. Either way, I'd be happy. I mean, I'd be happier with Chili's, obviously. Keith is approaching with your order from Chili's Grill and Bar from DoorDash, of course. Could imagine if that was a brand deal. I started to break out into this episode today is sponsored by DoorDash. It's not, but now he's gonna walk up to my house and just like see me recording myself and talking to a camera, so that's good. Anyways, with that being said, I do feel like there is some sort of shift coming, so I think that it could also be that I feel like I'm really growing up. I don't think it really has much to do with the age of 27. I'm not super attached to a timeline or an age, except for I'm like ready for some things to happen now. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it maybe is a combination of it all. 27 does feel very adult though, I will say. But I already feel very adult. I don't know. I'm someone who is like so excited to turn 30. I will not care about another birthday until I'm 30 years old, and I will be so over the moon, excited and happy about it. So anyways, yeah, this year has not been my year. We're not really going to get into that, mainly just because I don't really want to talk about it right now. But it's just been a rough year. So we're going to talk about some other things and some things that I want in my 27th year, okay? I have a whole list of things that I have written down. This time next year, on my 28th birthday, when I'm sitting down and talking to you on my 28th birthday, I want my life to look unrecognizable to how it looks now. Not necessarily because I'm unhappy. I'm obviously going through a hard time, and I'm not running from my problems because you can't run away from grief, but I'm just ready for the next chapter. I feel like I've maxed out in what I'm doing right now with me, myself, and I. Like I'm just ready for a change. I don't know what else to say other than I want my life to look unrecognizable. How that's gonna happen, literally couldn't tell you. What that's gonna look like, couldn't tell you even less. I have literally no idea, but I need it to be unrecognizable. And when I find myself in spaces like this, like more so where I just am kind of like giving up and I'm like, all right, like let go, let God kind of vibe, that's when that stuff happens. It's less of when I am making all of these moves and trying to force something to happen. I really feel like I've just like surrendered everything in my life, especially with loss. You just have no control over quite literally anything. So yeah, I feel like I'm just open. Like I'm open to really anything. I kind of touched on this earlier, but like the last time I felt this way was when I moved. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be a move, but for the first time since moving back to Dallas, I'm open to something. And I don't know, I mean, I've always said I would move to Nashville or get a second place in Nashville. Like Tennessee is so ideal for me. But I also think that I'm just going to be bopping around places for like months at a time. And I hope I hope I keep this house and like I keep Texas as home base. But I'm just open. Like whatever needs to happen will happen. Whatever I have to do, I will do. Ideally, I would do like 2 to 4 weeks in different cities and just kind of bop around. But I don't know. I really don't know. I just am open, and I haven't been that way in forever. It takes me a while to, be open to things, okay? Oh, another thing, I'm trying to go from Megan Maroney indifferent to Megan Maroney, like, am I okay? That is my 27-year-old vibe at this point, meaning if you don't know the songs, I'm down to, like, find someone. You guys are going to hear this a lot in my upcoming podcast episodes on our New York recording week, because that was one of the weeks where it was just like top of mind and it just happened to come up in a lot of conversations. But I've just been like the single girl who's loved being single for so long and I've not even really desired a partner. something happened to me and there was just a switch, and now like I want to build a life with someone. I want to be with someone. I really don't want to like keep making a lot of decisions until I'm with someone. Not that I'm putting my life on pause, but I've done like everything I can do, and I have lived out fully my single life and also loved it. Like I didn't want to be with anyone for so long. Even when friends would try to set me up with people that were actually like insane that I said no to, like having nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. I just like wasn't in the place. I was just saying no for so long, and now like I'm ready to do that with someone. And that's okay. Like I feel like it's really scary also to say that, because I feel weirdly like desperate of like, oh my God, I want to get married, which is not a desperate thing. It's a completely normal feeling to have, obviously. Honestly, I'm realizing now I've never had that true feeling. Like I've always really wanted to be a wife and have kids, like a wife and a mom later in my life. Like I've always really looked forward to that chapter of my life, but now it's just different. Like there's something different about the feeling, and I want it now. I feel like before it was like, yeah, I can't wait for that to happen one day. And now, not necessarily kids, but now I'm like, I really want to like meet my person and build a life together and do that stuff. Maybe it's turning 27. I don't think it really is, because I don't have that much pressure on like the age aspect of it. I think it probably has maybe more to do with loss. I don't want to say it's given me anything. There's not positives that have come out of it, but when you lose someone, I feel like you gain a lot of clarity on what you want in life. And in the past couple of years, if I've learned anything, it's that I care a lot more about the life that I'm living and the people that I'm like living life with than I do about what I'm like necessarily doing like career-wise. I love my career. I love working. I would never be able to not work. Like I love it. I think it makes me a better person. I think it makes me a better friend, a better partner, a better person in honestly every single area. But it's not, and it will never be more important to me than like the life that I live and the relationships that I have. Having dealt with so much loss at such a young age, and just the amount of loss and grief I've gone through in the past 6-7 years, that has just been something that's been so highlighted to me. Like when you're at these funerals or you're dealing with the aftermath forever of grief, like it just doesn't matter. Like there's nothing that matters more than the relationships that you have and the life that you live. A career is an amazing thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just naturally very driven, and I love to work. It's by no means a bad thing. It just isn't my main thing, I think I would say. So I feel like I'm just more focused on building that life, and I feel like I have the friends, like I have everything else kind of set, honestly, and I feel like I'm just ready. And it's interesting because like maybe I just wasn't ready this entire time, and suddenly I am, and I thought the whole time I was ready, even though I wasn't necessarily looking for it. But yeah, I don't know. I also, in the past couple of months, just with going through this, I like myself more than I ever have, and I trust myself more than I ever have. Like to be able to have survived and walked through, and not only like survived, but also like shown up and gotten things done and shown up for friends and been there and like been a human that was able to like get out of bed, which if you are going through something similar and you're not able to get out of bed, listen, I didn't get out of bed for a month, and there are still days. It's just so hard. Everyone deals with things so differently. So like my version of getting up could be someone else's something else. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. But the fact that I've survived and I feel like gone about this in the healthiest way possible and been very proactive, I'm just very proud of. I don't necessarily feel the most me I've ever felt by any means. Like this whole weekend, I was in LA and I was like hanging out with people, and I'm like, I kind of hate people who have met me like during this time or spent more time with me during this time, because I don't feel like I'm fully there, like fully myself, if that makes any sense. If anyone's walked through grief, I feel like you would understand. And maybe it's just in my head and I am being like so myself, but I just wouldn't say I feel the most me I've ever felt, but I would say that I respect myself, I think more than I ever have, which is a good feeling to have. Yeah, just like random things. I feel like that's really what I've gotten out of 26. Turning 26 too, I don't know, I talked about this before, but I feel like every year in your 20s, you become more confident and more secure and more stable. And I definitely felt that turning 26. What I'm most proud of in my 26th year is surviving and like not letting the world ruin you, and honestly not becoming this like super negative person who hates everything and hates everyone and is doomsday and thinks every bad thing will happen. Like I'm definitely fighting day in and day out to not feel that way and to still believe like good things are happening, good things are coming. But I think I've really arrived at a place where I do believe good things are coming and good things are happening for me. And that's not to say like that obviously makes anything of grief and loss any better at all. I think I'm just proud of not letting it ruin me and not letting me lose myself, because when I think about like my brother, like I know I'm gonna cry. Like I knew I would end up crying in this episode at some point, so I might as well. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna get through this very fast so we can go back to like things that are not so negative and depressing. I just know he would be so proud of me. And I do things based on like what I know he would want me to do. If that makes any sense. But anyways, I am just proud of myself. I know my brother would be so proud of me. And that is what I'm like fighting for, honestly, like every single day. It's been so hard. With that being said, we're going through it. We're getting through it. And there's really no other choice. So I'm very proud of myself. This episode is not going to be really depressing. I know a lot of you guys will be like, it's okay to be depressing. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just don't want to do that right now. Like I cannot handle it. So anyways, this time next year, I want my life to be completely different. I need a full 180. I don't know what that is. It's not that I don't like my life now. It's just that I feel like there's a shift coming. And I would like it to look completely different by the end of the year. And it's possible. Let me tell you, a lot can change in a day. So I asked Macy to send in a little prediction for my 27th year. Normally, I would do an episode of like 26 things I learned at 26. But like, guys, I spent a month in bed. This has been the worst year of my life. I don't want to get into it. And honestly, like 26 things is a lot. I could maybe do 26 for like my entire life. But at 27 or at 26, no, I can't do that. So we're just going to be talking about a couple other things, doing a little catch up. Anyways, here's Macy's prediction all the way from New York City of my 27th year. So let's see what she thinks.
Okay, I'm walking to the train because I'm a New Yorker, so I apologize if it's loud, but my prediction for Kenzie's 27th year, and it's not really a prediction, it's just speaking facts, is that Kenzie is going to be engaged. Again, that's not really a prediction. Kenzie is getting married. She's a 2027 bride or 2027 bride. And then also, Kenzie is going to have a house in Tennessee. Don't know if it's hers or her future spouse's, but she will be in Tennessee. I'm sorry if I'm just reiterating things that we've already gone over. And friend of mine to the moon. Oh, and Kenzie's also going to launch a joint brand called Husband of Mine with her future husband. That's what I'm thinking.
I think I'll pass on that one. I like that prediction. I mean, like married, I think is a little extreme. Like the whole, we'll see. I thought she was going to say we were going to merge our bank accounts because that's what Macy always says. We're going to Eras. Actually, if you guys listen to the Gals on the Go episode, Danielle and I made this plan literally on the podcast, but we are going to London. We're going to Eras. Macy's coming with us and Emily's coming with us. Emily's episode is coming out soon, by the way. I love her literally so much. But we're going to London for Eras in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks actually, by the time this episode goes up. I am so excited. Like that is just what I need. I'm in the middle of like my Eat, Pray, Love summer. Honestly, been doing a lot of like eating and praying. I don't know much about the loving part, but it's just like, but yeah, I appreciate that prediction. That feels pretty good to me. We'll see like what I put down. These are just things that I want. I feel like I'm in this transitional phase, which is the way that I'm sure all of you feel. I mean, the topic of waiting, you're always waiting for something. Life is waiting. Life is a waiting season. Blah, 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 blah. Hate waiting. Don't want to do it anymore. All right. So let's speed things up. All right. I'm over it. Okay. Okay. So as I just like completely said, I hate waiting and I don't want to do that ever again. And blah, 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 whatever. Normally when I'm enjoying life, which I am enjoying life in a way, you're in your 20s and you're just like angsty and you feel like a fish out of water and you just like don't know what's going on. You're really stressed out. I try to picture myself at 80 years old, like on a rocking chair on land with my husband and our kids and our grandkids, and the grandkids are all playing around and I'm telling everyone to relax, be calm, it all works out. Like I try to live my life from that place because I have this big vision that I know will happen. It's just like the in-between, and when we try to like figure out how it's gonna happen, I feel like when we get too into the weeds of things, it just becomes really depressing because you're like, literally how? And also you're just thinking about it too much and like fixating on it too much. But I try to live from that place of just like sitting there on property. I'm in love. We've been together for 50 years at that point. We have our kids and our grandkids and this big happy family. Like I try to live from that place. So that's what I'm really trying to do. I feel like in the past 48 hours, I've been feeling better about this. I'm obviously just kind of like all over the place right now, but we're trying to live from that place. That's what we're trying to do today. And then another thing I do is I think about my younger self and I just feel so bad for her because of everything that she's going to have to go through, honestly. But I do things for like that little girl to make her proud and to just like love that little girl, like who I once was, and to like honor and respect that and appreciate. I don't know how many like more like therapized words I can use, but just thinking about that little girl and I'm like doing things for her and feeling so bad for her, but like knowing she's gonna get through it. And then I try to think about myself at 80, looking back at myself at 26, 27 years old. Now I'm 27 as you guys are recording this. Things that I'm believing for in the next year. The main thing, number one, would be the right people around me in every single way. I feel like I'm also in some type of transition, just like relationally. No like tea, no shade. I just feel like people's lives are changing and my life's changing and what I want is changing and my values are changing. So, and what I do day to day changes. So naturally, just like your friendships day to day change. And I just really want the right people around me in every single capacity, like work wise, personally wise, like relationally, like mentor wise. I just want to be surrounded by the right people. I cannot wait for the time where I'm like married and we're like young and married. Hopefully if I get married at any time in the future and we're like traveling and bopping around like city to city with our friends and you have so much freedom, but you're surrounded by people, like relationships that feel like family. I just am so excited for that. But even now, I mean, I feel like I have the best friends ever and I'm doing that anyways. So that is probably like number one on my list. I also put life transformation. I do feel like I'm really ready for the next chapter. And again, yes, I could just not be wanting to like have to live what I'm living, but like unfortunately, I have to live with grief forever. It's not something that ever goes away. Grief isn't like a problem to be solved. It's just something that you learn to live with. So I don't feel like I'm just running from my problems. I feel like I'm just sensing a shift. At least that's what I'm telling myself because that's just like what I want. I also want to like live in peace and confidence like in that transition time, in that wait time. And just know like God is a million steps ahead of me and I really just need to chill because me stressing out and trying to figure it out really is not going to make any difference at all. And even as far as like vision casting of things that I want to do and achieve and like things that I want to build, I want to live in the mindset of like it's already happening. Okay, when something that you want happens, it never happens the way that you think it's going to happen. And chances are you look back and there's so many things that seemed meaningless or maybe even like off-putting to you or something that you never would have thought would have connected. Those small steps throughout the years ultimately tend to lead you to where you need to be going, even if you can't see it at the time. So I'm trying to like just be patient and understand that like even every day, like I'm getting one step closer to like where I want to be. Also, when you are a driven person, you're never fully like happy with where you're at, if that makes any sense. It's not that you're not happy. Like you can learn to be content, but there's always something that's like, what's next? So I want to be content in this season while also like wrestling with the idea of wanting more still in a way that isn't greedy and is still like full of peace, if that makes any sense. Like I'm very calm and confident and I know something else is coming, but I'm content in the meantime. Okay, guys, I have to be so for real with you right now. I'm so hungry. The fact that I'm not stopping this podcast for my Chili's is love. Okay, that's how much I love y'all. Peace and reconciliation. Amen. Listen, we do not have a problem. If there has ever been an issue, we don't have a problem. There's no issues, okay? It's very, very rare that I have any sort of falling out with a friend. Even, I mean, obviously there's breakups and stuff, but like it's very, very rare that I have any sort of issue. I just don't care at all. Like I don't want to have any issues. I don't want to have any problems. Like love you all. I don't care. That's like where I'm at right now. Like I just don't care. Okay? So that's how I'm kind of feeling going into this next year. I just want to grow a lot. Again, like this is sounding like so cheesy. I feel so corny when I talk to you guys on these podcasts because I feel like so many of the podcasts y'all listen to are like pop culture and stuff, which I love talking about pop culture. Like I talk about that all day. But there's a side to me that's like very like self-development, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I really just want to grow a lot and be like the best version that I can be, especially for my future. I'm just hoping this is like a very pivotal year. And you guys will see if it is. And maybe I'm saying all this and then I'm like, well, you thought, you know, but I have a good feeling, okay? I've also just been thinking about things that I wish I'd known sooner. which could be an entire podcast episode in itself. I could do one. And a lot of these are kind of just like life values in a way. The most important thing to me in life, point blank period, is showing up in every capacity. So I think it's the most important thing to do is to show up for other people. I think it's also to show up for yourself. I think it's the most important thing to do for other people and for yourself, but you're doing it day in and day out. So showing up also could just be consistency. Like you're working towards a dream, you're working towards a goal. I've never been someone who's, gone viral overnight. It's always been slow and steady, and it's been a culmination of years and years of me just showing up every day at the same thing. And then more than that though, for friends, like showing up is my number one value in life. Like if there's one thing about me, I will show up. And if I don't, there is a very good reasoning. Like there is a very good reason for me to not show up. And I feel that way as well about the relationship that I have in my life. And I feel that way as well about myself. Like I think it's equally as important to be showing up for yourself day in and day out. We always talk about how confidence is built by making promises to yourself and keeping them. And again, I think that's just showing up. I don't think you can do anything in life without showing up. Mastering the art of showing up is crucial. It is so important. Also, life is about doing things that you don't want to do while we're at it. That's the next thing. Life is really just a string of doing a lot of things that you do not want to do. Think about the people in your life that have the most meaningful friendships, most meaningful relationships, the most meaningful and fulfilling careers, just the most fulfilling lives in general. Chances are those people have done things that you don't want to do, right? Even like you think about health, like showing up to, the gym and eating healthy. Like we don't want to do those things all the time necessarily, but that is like scientifically what is the best for us and will give us the best physical and mental and emotional health that we can get, right? Obviously there's other things that go into like mental and emotional health, but it's that idea. Like think about it even with friendships, like the amount of times people just end a friendship because they don't want to talk about it, or they say like, oh, it's not worth it. I feel like I've already spoken my piece, or I've already done this, or I've already done that. And like, I feel like 9 times out of 10, that's not true when people say that. I feel like even with myself, when I've just kind of like taken myself out of the race before I needed to, it was way too early and I didn't need to end whatever it was that I was doing or whatever friendship I was in at that time. It was really just because I was avoiding doing the hard thing or the thing that I don't want to do. So again, life is about doing things that you don't want to do. And that is going to lead you to the life that you want that's fulfilling. Because in order to get there, you really have to like go through tests and go through hard times with people. I am starving, guys. I'm actually starving. Okay. You are also almost always making a sacrifice. You can have it all, but not all at the same time. So knowing what your priorities are at different times is very important. For example, if a value of mine is showing up for people and I really, really care about being a good friend, that is probably my favorite thing about myself, is that I am a good friend. That means that I cannot be everyone's friend because there is not enough of me to show up day in and day out for all of these different people. So it's knowing when it's time to kind of like move on, or you're just kind of growing apart from a friendship, which is so normal. It happens all the time. It doesn't mean that you are worse or better than the other person. It doesn't mean that either party is bad. Sometimes it's just not meant to be at that time. Being like cognizant of that, but understanding that like you can have it all, just not at the same time, and knowing your different priorities. Like people always talk about balance, and I think that life is a lot less about focusing on balance and more about focusing on different priorities at different times. There's different years of your life where you're going to need to focus a lot more on your career because you need to build your career so then you're able to be set up for the future for your kids and your family and to have more freedom so you're able to be with people more. There's going to be times where you need to, focus more on building a life. Like I feel like when I moved to Texas, it was a lot more of a focus the first couple of years of building a life that I wanted to live and building the friendships that I wanted to have. And then it was a lot more on my career, like moving into this house. I feel like the past year of my life, like my social life has really changed, honestly, because I'm not going out as much, but I've definitely been a lot more focused on career with like building a friend of mine, like my home lifestyle brand that I launched in September. So I feel like life is about doing a lot of things that you don't want to do and showing up even when you don't want to, showing up for people, showing up for yourself, and also about making sacrifices, which isn't really the most fun thing to hear because you want it to be about like, having fun and living your life and doing whatever you want to do. And like, it's counterculture to like say like, no, sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do. Fitz is trying to eat my chilies right now. Anyways, I feel like the sooner that you kind of drill that into your head, the better. And I think it is a better way to live, and it's a little bit more selfless of a way to live. It's not our first instinct. I don't want to say this, I don't want to generalize, but I just think about how right now culture is pushing so much to live the most selfish life. It's all about you. If you don't feel good in this, leave. If you don't do this, leave. There's some truth to a lot of that, but I think it's leading you to a really empty life. Like, I don't think that there's a lot of fulfillment to be found when your entire life is about you and not about helping other people. There's a reason that they always say, like, when you're depressed, go do something for someone else, because it actually scientifically, like, makes you happier. Not that anything is going to solve it. I'm so for, like, medicine and all the treatment, all the things that you can get. But I just think that maybe we feel so lost and unfulfilled because we're too focused on ourselves. Like, maybe that is the answer. I don't know. Just some food for thought. If you guys are watching on YouTube, Fitz is really not loving that it's not all about him. Like, right now, he's actually being a little crazy. Also, something else that I've decided, I'm just gonna start saying things. Like, we kept jokingly saying, like, I'm gonna get engaged next year, which, like, I'm not even dating anyone, guys. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm not, all right? I wouldn't be shocked. If I elope, don't be surprised, all right? But I'm also just gonna start saying, like, crazy things. I'm gonna be like, yeah, everything's viral. Because if you keep saying things, it's eventually gonna happen. And if you say things 1,000 times, like 4 or 5 times, it's gonna be true, you know? So when it comes to wanting, you know, my entire life to change in the next year, feeling like I'm in this weird in between, this kind of standstill, feeling a little bit stagnant. I also, right now, guys, feel like a Catwoman with the amount of dogs that are near me. Fitz, let's go over there, bub. You can maybe go over there. You don't need to be right here. I'm in the middle of work. So on the topic of feeling like I'm in this weird in between, feeling stagnant, like there's something coming, just feeling like I'm waiting, you know? I feel like a lot of us can feel that, unfortunately, at all times in our lives, but specifically in our 20s. I was just thinking, especially in this time, because I feel like my earlier 20s, I knew exactly what it was that I wanted to change in my life because I was unhappy. Like, I didn't like the relationship that I was in. I didn't like the friendships that I had. I didn't like what I was doing day to day. I really didn't like anything. So in that case, it was really easy for me to make like an actionable plan to follow. Right now, when I'm just feeling like there's something new coming, there's just something and I don't know what it is, and I feel like I'm ready for something new and I don't exactly know what that is at this moment. I'm just thinking about myself at the end of my life and like what I would say was the most worthwhile thing that I did, which I think ultimately will actually probably end up being like building a family. So I need to think about like other things outside of that. But I'm trying to just think about the things that I feel would be the actual most fulfilling and then work backwards instead of being so like me. I want to do this. I want to achieve this. I want to do this. I'm just tired. Like I'm tired. I want to just kind of like take my like foot off the gas in a way. Not that I want to work any less or like work less hard or anything like that. It's more so like giving up control in that way and just like surrendering and being like, all right, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is that's coming for me, like I believe in God. So I'm always like, all right, God, like whatever it is, like so be it. Because I don't want to do anything that isn't along those lines because I want the best of the best. And also I just don't want the aftermath of like something that isn't meant to be in my life. I feel like that's another thing I've been thinking about a lot when it comes to loss. I saw this Instagram reel. I actually wrote something down about it. I saw this reel the other day and actually I'll just play it for you guys.
I think that the biggest thing that you learn when you lose someone so young that you love and admire so much is that life is too short to sit anywhere other than where you're supposed to be. And if you're sitting at a table where you don't feel like you're being fed, even if you're bringing a plate of food, you politely just leave. I think that
And that is how I feel. She sums it up very perfectly. It was a clip that was reshared. Let me tell you, in case you guys need to, I'll share it on the Instagram. I only want to sit at the tables that I'm meant to sit at for a multitude of reasons. One, I'm ready to like go into the next chapter of my life. I don't want things to hold me back. I don't want to be in the wrong place. And I just want to do like what I feel like I was put on this earth to do and what I'm meant to do. And I feel like a lot of that right now is either maybe I have more things that I need to figure out, but I do feel like a lot of the key players are in my life currently, but it's just kind of a matter of time for them to all line up to where they're supposed to be. I don't necessarily think this huge change in my life is going to be night and day in the sense that like I had no idea. I didn't even know these people a year ago. I actually think it's probably going to be largely things that I already know and people that are already in my life, just like in different positions. Does that make any sense? So yeah, I don't know. I like that idea though. Another thing, these are kind of lessons and things that I care about, just like going into my 27th year and wanting my whole life to be different. This episode's like really all over the place. But your word is everything. There is nothing more important. And that is like my favorite thing in someone is if they're consistent and if they say that they're going to do something, they do it and they follow through. Because there's nothing better than someone that is trustworthy. And there's nothing better than being able to trust yourself even. So if you, again, confidence is built by making promises to yourself and keeping them, keeping your word to yourself, keeping your word to other people. At the end of the day, all you have is your word. So that's just been a really big thing to me. Like if I, again, it's showing up for people. It's like if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And there are people in my life that I have like made that commitment to. Like I'm not like said, hey, I'm committing. Like that's fucking weird. But there's just people in my life that those friendships and those relationships like matter so much that I will like continue to show up and like my word matters. I never want to be that person who says they're going to do something and everyone's like, all right, well, like we'll see it. Like that is my worst nightmare, like my actual worst nightmare. And it's just like not something that I want. Okay. That's how I feel. So I hope you guys enjoyed just this chill solo episode. Sorry if it wasn't like the funniest, craziest, most like entertaining thing ever. It's just kind of where I'm at right now. Energy levels are a little low. I am feeling good given the circumstances. And I do have a lot of hope for the next year. Like I'm really, really leaning in. I'm doing my like draw the circle book again. Like we're starting it again today. And I just have a lot of things behind the scenes that I am like praying for, wishing for, hoping for. And I want this to be a year that I just is like incredible. I want this to be the most pivotal year of my life, basically. I'm tired right now, like actually physically, but also just like mentally. I've been so drained. I'm sure you guys can kind of hear that in my voice. But I am believing for the best in this next year. Despite how this past year has gone, I have hope for better things. And good things are coming. I deserve good things. And I'm leaving it at that. I don't know. I feel like I'm just really leaning in. And I'm really praying that this time next year we come back to this episode. I'm praying that there's edits, all right, of like clips of this podcast episode and like vlogs where like all these things are coming true and there are edits on TikTok. Like that is what I am hoping for. I'm praying that on my 28th birthday, I'm sitting here watching this video, watching this podcast, and like sitting with all of the things that have happened that I couldn't even possibly imagine. Like it's one of those things where it's like only God could have done that in my life. That is what I'm hoping for. That is what I'm praying for. And for all of you guys who are listening and relating, because that's one thing I've learned about being on the internet and this podcast is that when I'm going through things, even if they might be, lesser or more extreme than the things that you guys are going through, we all can relate on some end. And a lot of you guys are going through very similar experiences. So while 26 maybe was not my year, I have a good feeling about 27 and I really hope it's pivotal. And I love you guys. I have to leave because I have to go get my Chili's. There are some things that will never change, okay? And it's me and my Chili's. It's the most consistent relationship. I think most consistent thing about me in my life has always been the Chili's. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys watched on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast. For my 27th birthday, the nicest thing you guys could do is leave a nice rating and review on the podcast. The second nicest thing you guys could do is shop small, my small business, shopfriendofmine.com, my home lifestyle brand, friend of mine. I love that. And if you guys want, I feel like y'all like the episodes where it's just kind of like friend vibes. It feels like we're sitting catching up, but I'm always down to do more episodes that are more like businessy, things like that. I don't know. I definitely in Q3 and Q4 want to be recording a lot more from Dallas in this room with different people and solos. So if you guys have episodes that you really want to hear, I am all for it. Let me know. Leave your request on a comment on Instagram or honestly on my YouTube videos. Those are very helpful because I'm always linking there. I love y'all. And by YouTube videos, I mean the podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, by the way. My God, I cannot. I'm done with my self-promotion like it needs to be done. Love you guys and I will talk to you later.